Black Clover has revealed the new transformation Asta is going to unlock. He's becoming a samurai.
I mean, this happens every week. I already called this.
I told you to shut the up. This is peak fiction, fam.
Do you like him and don't like him is nothing you could do about him because he's #1.
We learned from the official translations that Asta is actually going to get 100 times stronger, as Ichika's ki was described by Asta to increase suddenly in chapter 338. So if you thought when we were saying 10 times was a lot, imagine what happens now.
I think my brain just committed suicide.
Also, we have all been following Asta's journey together for a while. I've been making videos on Black Clover for almost 4 years.
Damn.
However, I've also been on a journey, guys. I got married, I have a kid on the way, and I've also been training like Asta. My training arc into a Chad is almost complete, and with every transformation, you guessed it, you can guess it, right? It's more drip. So I'm changing my avatar into a new one. Editor, please, can you do the glorious revelation?
3, 2, 1.
This video is sponsored by Path to Nowhere. This visually striking, gritty sci-fi RPG features not only fantastic tower defense style gameplay, but also a unique and mysterious world view. It has a prison and crime theme that is integrated with awesome superpowers, Cthulhu, gang culture, and more. As chief of the Crisis Control Bureau MBCC, you must control and punish criminals, aka sinners, with each sinner possessing their own unique powers. Path to Nowhere also features stunning art design that is way darker, grittier, and sexier than your typical anime style gacha game, with each character having their own power, personality, and intimacy. And who doesn't want to get intimate with the likes of Hamel and Bai Yi? Players can choose a sinner from the home screen and interact with them in live 2D, triggering an array of animations and voices. Okay, but enough simping, let's get into why this game is so great. The immersive gameplay and deep strategy. This innovative tower defense element, combined with the player's need to strategically use a sinner's ultimate skill, allows for a stunning amount of fun where your own strategy plays a huge role in the outcome of the battle as you progress through the dozens of story stages. It's time to battle monsters and save the world with your beauty, team, and tactics, because let's be honest, what else would an anime hero do? To download Path to Nowhere for free, click the link in the description or pinned comment, or you can scan the QR code on your screen right now. Then to redeem a ton of in-game gifts, use our code PTNABD. Now back to you, Adil.
In Black Clover Chapter 342, we learn that Yami's clan are descendants of samurai assassins known as Kijin that distinguish themselves on the battlefield by protecting the land of the rising sun, protecting the Ryudo family province of the country. In Japanese Buddhism, Kijin are onis that are so fierce and violent that they are regarded as both demons and gods. There are several different kinds of Kijin, including Yasha and Asura, both revered as kind gods and dreaded as angry demons. We can clearly see this being the case with Yami's father, as he states their blood is crying out for violence instead of just sitting around just to defend a territory. It's revealed that legend states back in the ye old days, the land of the rising sun was attacked by a 5-headed dragon but was appeased by a celestial maiden. You thought you were simp? Even dragons are these days. Simp! Following this, the sea turned black with the spillage of magic power from the dragon, and it just so happened to create a connection to the underworld hell by distorting time and space. Now, this has massive meaning because I've been reading the demon books, so you don't have to.
This is good because I could barely read.
So let me address everything you might be confused about, since a lot of you don't actually like reading anymore. Let the class begin, ladies and gentlemen. Black Clover's story is connected to those of our own world. For example, in the Pseudo-Monarchia Demonum, a real-life grimoire similar in nature to the Book of the Lesser Key of Solomon, containing a list of demons, these are the grimoire Tabata has been using to help create Black Clover. It's said that Astaroth is a large and powerful duke who appears as an evil angel, rides an infernal dragon, and carries a viper in his right hand. So far, we have an evil angel, and now we just so happen to have a dragon from the underworld. How suspicious.
I don't know, man. You've been seeming sus lately.
From my research, we understand that Tabata has fused two folklore stories into one to create Black Clover's story, as the five-headed dragon we see in chapter 342 is also a clear nod to the island of Inoshima, where the dragon was named Gozuryu. In Black Clover, we learned that the dragon was on a rampage and got appeased by a celestial maiden in the land of the rising sun, Japan. Comparing it to the folklore story in our world, it's pretty much the same, fam.
They copy my whole fucking flow, word for word, bar for bar.
The dragon was responsible for the hardships in the surrounding area, and the benevolent goddess Benzetten eventually came from above to soothe the dragon's rage. Along with her coming, she raised a large landmass from the ocean to serve as her dwelling. The dragon, wooed by Benzetten's beauty and benevolence, fell in love with her, but she rejected his proposal as punishment for the adversity he had brought to the humble fishing communities. And when we take a look at how the goddess Benzetten looks, we can see the similarities immediately to her Black Clover counterpart. So we have Yami Sukehiro fishing with his clan, check. Astaroth the time devil who is linked to a dragon, check. A maiden that stopped his dragon and is linked to the sea, check. And finally, a space-time distortion? This space-time distortion makes sense of our theory in the community, because all of you shared your mana, of course. Astaroth, Lucius or another devil had to be involved in the events being unfolded, otherwise it wasn't making much sense. As promised, here is a shout out to Namer, Jake, James, Benjamin, and all of these lovely people with the notification bell turned on for our channel and becoming chads, supporting us on a weekly basis, smashing that like button. A lot of you made some great points. A space-time distortion linked to the land of the rising sun gives context to Astaroth's plan with Lucius Socrates. Without Yami Sukehiro reaching the Clover Kingdom, the spell of Cliff Off would not have been possible due to his dark magic being arcane and inherently rare. The timeline of events literally would not make sense or be possible without him. Astaroth with his dragon playing a role in the grand scheme of things makes total sense, as Lucius revealed to us in chapter 336 that with a fraction of Astaroth's magic, he can look through multiple timelines and events to determine which is the most probable to cause the outcome he desires for his vision. And since we know grimoire are predestined and connected to the soul of a person, for instance Patri's soul going 500 years in the future to receive a 5-leaf light grimoire caused by Zagrid, it would mean Yami Sukehiro was the designated person they needed to manipulate to make him arrive in the Clover Kingdom, just like how Lucius Socrates killed Alan to manipulate his own brother Zenon. To prove this, Astaroth was said to have left Hell, leaving his position of king after Damnatio researched what happened in chapter 331. Majocula took on a pseudo-fake position that was Astaroth's originally. This meant with Astaroth leaving Hell, he would be able to manipulate humanity, as Liber told us that this was the #1 fun thing for devils to do. Demons to do. By having a contract with Lucius, Astaroth would enact his plan by influencing Yami Sukehiro under a devil, just like how Zagrid manipulated the royals in his shadow form, or when he took over the body of the elf named Ron. Narratively, this makes sense too, as Ichika, upon realizing that Astaroth was the one behind her family's massacre, will have a reason to fight alongside Asta in battle, as they will have a common evil they want to defeat, as Ichika will attempt to avenge her clan, proving her brother was innocent. On top of that, chapter 342 explains to us that the Yami clan are the Kijin descendants, and we know that magic types evolve over time and are based on genetics. In chapter 228, the Heart Queen states that a lot of people in the Clover Kingdom developed arcane and unique types of magic due to their lifestyles and culture rapidly changing over time, straying away from nature and runes that their kingdom uses. Yami's clan being from assassins known as Kijin perfectly correlates with the idea of them possessing dark magic. Now the counter counterpart to Yami Sukehiro was William, right? We understood William's mother was from a family that was cursed, which marked him from birth that supposedly had ominous connection that people treated him differently because of it. Funnily enough, Julius Novacrona was the first person to accept William despite his cursed appearance, which Lucius Socrates would want. The same case being with Sukehiro when he got his grimoire at 15 and it was revealed to be dark magic. Now just to remind you, you don't need to be 15 and have a grimoire to activate your magic attribute. You can use your magic at an early stage whilst young. For example, Alan showed his fire to Zenon. Yuno used his wind magic to help farm. And in this chapter we can clearly see Sukehiro using dark magic in his sword already. But guess what? Lucius has soul magic, where a soul is connected to a grimoire. So he has every tool at his disposal to gain the knowledge he needs to execute his plan. He would have known Yami Sukehiro possessed dark magic early on. In chapter 342, we are introduced to Yami's drunken father, who is angry at the idea of just defending a remote territory. He tries to get Yami to agree with him. However, he has the opposite reaction, stating his father is spewing crap. Ichika then runs in shouting, "Oni-chan!" This pisses their father off even more, who is reminded of his wife who died birthing Ichika and decides to swing for his own daughter, stating, "You look like her. She died after giving birth to a woman. We don't need anyone in the Yami clan who can't fight." Well, doesn't he look silly? She can literally take on Lucifero by herself now. Yami then blocks his dad's attack with his sword cloaked in partial dark magic, saying what we are all thinking, that they have one shitty father. But this only excites their father even more, who is impressed by Yami's strength, saying that although the feudal lord is bound to have great Yoryoku, Yami may even surpass him, being the strongest person in their clan. And by the way, can this guy get anything right? First he thinks his daughter is weak as fuck, but she isn't, and now he thinks Ryu will have loads of magic power, but he has zero.
This guy is fucking stupid.
Yami then decides to go off and do some fishing instead of listening to his father, and takes Ichika with him. This is where we see that the sea life has been augmented by the devilish power left behind by the dragon, as the pufferfish Yami catches has devil horns and is said to be toxic to eat. This is when Ryu shows up, who despite being the nation's equivalent of royalty, doesn't care about dirtying his kimono or hanging around with the peasants, and instead explains his life dream to Yami to create a world without classism, paralleling Asta. Asta said the exact same words to Raya in chapter 146. On top of that, these revelations from chapter 342 add even more context as to why Yami Sukehiro created the Black Bulls. For example, recruiting Noelle was paralleling to his own sister Ichika, whom he protected at a young age from his father, who saw her as weak and useless. Noelle went through a similar experience in her childhood just like her. Everyone blamed her for her mother's death, even her own siblings, which resulted in her magic not being controlled due to the mental block. This abuse gave her an inferiority complex at the beginning that Asta had to break down. Ichika seems to have the same problem, ladies and gentlemen, which you know what that means, yeah?
Beg your pardon?
No, editor, you're wrong. I think Ichika has a crush on Ryu, because take a look at this panel. She's blushing just seeing the guy, as Noelle would do the same with Asta. The parallels just don't stop. Furthermore, recruiting Asta despite no captain raising their hands for him was a nod to his childhood friend Ryu. We learn in chapter 342, Yami serves Ryu's family, but he states he does not see magic power or status as a reason to treat anyone different. And since Asta was an anomaly that was treated like crap by everyone, Yami said, you know what, I'm a Chad, you know? So fuck that shit, bruh! This guy reminds me of my best friend as a kid, and I'm gonna recruit him to achieve the same dream that he had and has apparently achieved as Shogun. But when we return to the present, where Ichika explains how she went from agreeing and siding with Yami Sukehiro to calling him a liar, she claims that Yami was as bad as their own father, stating he was right about Yami and that Yami is even more of a Kijin than their dad was. At the age of 13, Yami killed his own father and entire clan. Did he just copy Itachi's flow?
He copied my whole fucking flow.
Even the ages are the same. Itachi did that 13 too. Following this massacre, Sukehiro abandoned Ichika and Ryu to flee to the Clover Kingdom. However, in our opinion, we think Yami's possessed by a devil. Plus, shouldn't these guys be able to understand that Yami was possessed since they have ki? Asta believes in Yami because of his actions and intentions always being in a good place. He's contrasting Ichika's perception of him. Yet Asta also mastered basic ki that allowed him to feel Yami's emotions just like he did with Liber when he first met. That's why he's so adamant that he's a good person, and this must be a misunderstanding. This entire time, Asta has been comparing Yami's ki to Ryu's and Ichika's, saying that they are good people. We know that Asta can sense their emotions and intentions, so what is going wrong here? Clearly, something has happened. However, Ichika doesn't agree. This shocks Asta to the core, as Ichika asks how he could ever trust a man who massacred his own family. This only angers Ichika further, as she calls Asta a cretin, stating her truth as she saw the whole thing with her own eyes. The two of them, with their polarizing experiences with Yami Sukehiro, result in round 2 of their training. But this time, Ichika says she won't hold back and doesn't care if Asta dies. Now, hang on a second, wait, didn't you just say the exact same thing 2 chapters ago? And now you have a whole new transformation? We know that when Asta uses Yami's katana and goes Devil Union, he takes on the form of a badass samurai. He even copies his samurai spells. And now he's in the home of the samurai, training against a literal descendant of ancient samurai assassins. This means the more he trains with Ichika, the more he will master what it means to fight like the Kijin, evolving his samurai form to the next level. But if you want more peak fiction, and you won't regret it, learn about Makima and why everyone barks for this woman like woof 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 woof. Watch this video on your screen right now.